Happy Tuesday. We are back after a long weekend, July 4th. Hopefully the fireworks didn't freak out your pets or give Joe Biden flashbacks to the War of 1812. In either case, there's a lot of carpets that need cleaning today.
Oh my God.
Weird. It is weird, though, how even that holiday is considered divisive these days, and not even by Brits, whose limey asses we kicked, right? I wasn't even born. I take credit for it. But it's Americans who don't like it. It's like only one half of the country gets to enjoy July 4th while the other half must trash it, which is fine. I mean, if you want to make July 4th a right-wing holiday, we'll take it. You can have Jane Fonda's birthday. By the way, happy 109th. She was great in The Joker.
Oh my God.
But it's not really the case that people hate July 4th. It's just the people with the pedestals who want you to feel ashamed of this country. So if you're a fan of America for just one day, somehow that's a dog whistle, like you're celebrating the birthday of Hitler and not the cool one, Steve. I thought it was funny, Steve. A guy named Steve Hitler just didn't think of changing his name. I mean, they're already mad that you're having fun. You throw in family time, the old red, white, and blue, plus grilled meats. It's more Americana than limousine leftists can bear. All that's missing is a T-shirt cannon filled with apple pie that you can shoot right into my face. And so here they come. Barbara Streisand, Jessica Chastain, Bette Midler, Kerry Washington, Ron Perlman, Rob Reiner. They all weighed in. And with Michael Moore, that's literal. Wow. He said that until Roe is reinstated and Congress is 51% female, at any party or dinner that he's invited to, he will only talk about abortion, which is funny. The assumption that he's invited to parties. That's like me saying, until Roe is reinstated, I will not be sleeping with chimpanzees. I know, it's the opposite. Until Roe is reinstated, I will not be sleeping with chimpanzees.
Ew.
Little bestiality humor doesn't go over well with this crew. It's the usual tripe, though. Their opinions are more meaningless than the instructions on a Pop-Tart box. Reiner, who gets his cardio from hyperventilating on Twitter, called July 4th a strange thing to be celebrating, although not as strange as him celebrating a successful movie, something he hasn't done in decades. Meanwhile, that dying ember of wokeness, ESPN, featured an article called Baseball, Barbecue, and Losing Freedom this 4th of July. Well, that'll ring a bell with Joe Sixpack at home watching the game. ESPN is now like watching MSNBC with a few baseball scores thrown in. It's the only network that expects you to kneel for the anthem before every game. Then there's NPR, which skipped its traditional reading of the Declaration of Independence in favor of criticizing it. But NPR abandoning the reading of the Declaration is like Caitlyn Jenner abandoning her men's suits. Of course they did. Finally, our dear inspirational president weighed in. I wonder if liberty is under assault both here and abroad.
Liberty is under assault both here and abroad. In recent days, there's been reason to think that this country is moving backward, that freedom is being reduced, that rights we assumed were protected are no longer.
Well, you know, that is a problem. I wonder who could be the president. Oh, I don't have to. It's you, you old coot. It's pretty funny. We're talking about July 4th. Just one day. It's not like a whole month called Pride. I get it. 30 days for RuPaul and 1 day for Ben Franklin. RuPaul does have better legs, though. But that's not the problem. According to a Gallup poll, the number of people who say they're extremely proud of the country is dwindling. Like Joe Biden's neurologist, we're seeing a decline. And why shouldn't there be when you have a media, academia, and entertainment repeating the idea that you are evil? It's like they're an abusive parent telling his or her kid that he or she is worthless. Guess what? It might rub off. So now it's not just religion being sidelined, but patriotism too. And the agnostics and the bashers, they're not coming from some other country. They're born here. They aren't immigrants. They're homegrown. And why is that? Well, the people coming here, they get it. They know what they're leaving. But the brats living here, they have no context. There's no comparison. And now we mock the influences that would help them search for life's meaning. So they just turn into empty vessels. We removed God, family, patriotism, tradition, the very same words that make up Pete Hegseth's tramp stamp. Poor Pete, yes. And what do you replace that with? Subservience without redemption. Now, I don't own a Bible or a flag. Legally, I'm not even allowed to own scissors. But I understand the importance of both. And you see it when both go missing. When they're gone, holy crap, the alternative is pretty scary. The goal of the woke left is to replace religion with an ideology that demands the same obedience, but without the forgiveness of a religion. It's insane. At least with religion, you get heaven, but with wokeism, you get hell on earth. And now it's being done to patriotism, because a love for your country is a shared experience among people of different pigments, which runs counter to identity politics. Identity politics only believes in empathy among people who share fixed traits. So you and I cannot see eye to eye if my eyes are blue and yours aren't. According to the laws of intersectional wokeism, the only human who gets you has to be exactly like you.
Therapy is so important. Have to share this trauma with someone who truly understands. It's why I can only share these feelings with another anarchist, polyamorous they. So thank you, doctor. I couldn't agree more, Deborah. My last therapist drove a car that uses gasoline, and she was happily married with 2 kids. I mean, how could someone like that ever help me? She would never get it, but I do, Deb. That'll be $500. A little short. Can I pay you in a couple weeks?
So, the magic of television. So it's no wonder patriotism, which unites us over values and not race, is a threat to the left. Hence this 2-step process. Replace what unifies us with what divides us, and erase redemption with historical guilt made as a permanent stain. So could the death of patriotism follow the death of religion, much like the death of a heavy drinker follows the death of his liver? Maybe. But July 4th is now kind of like a religious holiday, purely optional. It's not a patriotic birthday. It's now just a reminder of the original sin of oppression. The sins of the father are now your own. There's nothing you can do. There's no confession, no forgiveness. There's only apology after apology to the mob who sees them as appetizers. And you are the meal. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She passed the bar and then went back to order 2-for-1 margaritas. Outnumbered co-host Emily Campagno. This dyslexic comedian will make you LLO. Comedian Jeff Dye. And you may remember her from such TV shows as Cops and Live PD. Right. Fox News contributor Kat Timm. And a folding chair is his money clip. My massive sidekick in the NWA World Television Champion, Tyrus. So, Emily, it was our country's birthday yesterday. I trust you behaved yourself, but had a patriotic good time.
I did. I celebrated.
Yes, yes. Isn't that what one does on a birthday? You don't go to the birthday boy or birthday girl and dress them down for their history, do you?
No, birthdays are for popping out of cakes, which is
I'd like
exactly
to see
what
that.
I did.
Not you. I mean that. I mean, I'd like to see Benjamin Franklin pop out of the cake.
Yeah, not her. Right. I'll watch it.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I work here.
I
forgot to get my job. For God's sake.
Pesky rules.
So, look, I'll weigh in on Hollywood celebrities weighing in with all of those tweets, right? And Katy Perry sent out one where she said that women have less rights here in this country than a firework, and citing her top 10 song or her #1 song, Fireworks. Right. And the insularity of these celebrities is so asinine to me. It's so nauseating because these comments are totally delusional, right? So she's talking about like what voting rights?
Yeah.
That we have less voting rights here. What about in Kenya, where pregnant women can't leave the house, so they absolutely have no constructive right to vote? Or in Oman, where women have to vote as their husbands do, or
sorry.
or risk death, Jeff.
Oh, my fault.
Read the room, okay? And then when we talk about, schoolgirls, which I think are sort of the majority of her audience, they are the reason she is wealthy. And in Afghanistan, under the Taliban, they can't even go to school past 6th grade. So for her to be so tone deaf, for her to not realize this is the greatest country, that here it's amazing to live in, to me just is one more indicator how insulated Hollywood is, how out of touch their opinions are. And if she needs to learn, she should just ask her husband or her baby daddy, who's from the UK, where abortion rights, for example, are even more restrictive than here.
Who's she married to? Oh, Orlando Bloom.
Orlando Bloom.
That's correct.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad we got that in there. Jeff, how did you spend your 4th? Were you angry, defiant? Did you sleep right through it?
No, it's actually, I didn't hear anything about Bette Midler and all these celebrities saying that we shouldn't celebrate. I was too busy actually celebrating the holiday. Because that's what you do, and it's nice, and I love the holiday, and I think it's great. I think it's very confusing. Turns out you don't have to listen to Bette Midler. She's not in charge of your freedoms.
Yes.
I didn't even notice that she said anything, because she's an idiot.
That is true. And she definitely didn't speak to my heart. No. That's for sure.
That's right.
Kat, I did bring up these, it's kind of like they're replacing certain things that maybe we didn't really, appreciate. I didn't really think about what patriotism is or even what religion is until you suddenly see what the left wants to replace it with. What do you make of that hypothesis?
I don't think that most people do think about it even now. All these tweets are like, well, now I'm not celebrating the country on the 4th of July. How much were you thinking about the country before?
Right.
You don't have to be all excited about the reason for the party to want to go to a party if it's going to be fun.
Yes.
I also didn't see any of this stuff because I was celebrating, and it's just... They also think that they're just so noble and so cool for, all this stuff, tweeting all this stuff. And I'm just going to also say, I'm not that impressed by it. It also didn't piss me off. If you want to be miserable, then go ahead.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, Katy Perry thinks babies are fireworks. We don't have to listen to her.
If I have to hear that song one more time, I'm going to blow my head off.
Yes.
Babies are human things, not fireworks.
Yes. They'd be fun, though, if they were part firework. A little wick on the top of their head, and you could light it, and they...
Yeah, you're not allowed to have children.
What if we fused a firework onto babies?
Everything you're saying is a bad idea, right?
Hear me out.
No, I'm going to stop you.
Roman candle.
Oh, my God.
No, all right.
No, you can't even be an uncle.
How did you spend your 4th of July, Tyrus?
Oh, man, I was, me and the brothers got together. We thought about a revolution. It was all the red tape and it was all the work. So we said, screw it. We barbecued, let off some fireworks, and watched some baseball. So here's the thing. You want to fix it with the celebrities? All you have to do to all of them is book them. Give them a show on the 4th of July, and they'll love it again. That's all it is, because that's it. Every one of them, they weren't booked. So the hell with the 4th of July, because I'm pretty sure I had to sit through 9 hours of Katy Perry's fireworks on the 4th of July everywhere.
Over and over
And here's the deal. This is what's beautiful about America. You don't have to celebrate it, and no one's going to come after you. But what's hilarious is ESPN, the writer, the brother who wrote this, was trashing America, and he was talking about how unpatriotic it used to be. He forgot that day game that he went to in New York for the Yankees-Red Sox game. The reason why it's a day game is so we can have fireworks at night to celebrate the 4th of July. He forgot that. And he also forgot it's a very forgiving country that you can be accused of choking your wife in public and plead down, which means you did it, and still have your job and still be able to give an opinion. No other else but America can you do that. And he seemed to forget all those things when he was talking. So, real easy. Give them all jobs on the 4th of July. No one's watching anyway because we're going to play outside. So they can put them all on a show together.
How smart is what's-her-face, Katy Perry, to name a song Fireworks knowing that it will be played at least one day a year? Right?
Yeah.
If I form a band...
Smart or mean?
Yeah, mean.
Or she lost the rights to the record company, and it's at amusement parks and stuff now, so that's why she's mad.
I'm going to release a record in which all of my songs are going to be based on holidays. Right? Easter Bunny, something called like The Eggs.
It'll get you to like Christmas again.
It will be.
My next album's gonna be called Pride Month, so I get more and more every year. More. 6 months.
Pride Month.
Later, a year.
That's great. Should be 2 months. I'm going to push for 2 months next year. Damn it. Up next, he called out grocers and angered the wokesters.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.